Do you remember who was in your MySpace top 8?
I had a lot of people. I would shuffle it out. You
What
know,
an honor that
there's
would
some
be.
cute girls at the time that I was like, oh, I got to put her in there. I'd like to meet this girl at some point.
How quickly did Tom get out of the MySpace top 8?
Tom was in there for a bit because he was a buddy. But then
For real?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know Tom. Tom was a friend, and of course it was like, then it became almost like you know, what would somebody send a Sufi picture, or maybe they were the one to, you know, get me in their town, and I'd say, oh, you brought me to this place I've never been before. I'm going to put you in my top 8. So it became
what an honor that would be.
It was cool, man.
Wow.
It was, yeah, I really loved that whole experience. That era of the internet was a lot of fun.
There's a whole generation that won't even know the honor that it was to be in someone's MySpace top 8.
Yeah, because it wasn't at all corporate. That was a website that didn't feel, even though, you know, there was money behind it, it was just a whole different strategy, and just the whole rigmarole had nothing to, it didn't feel like, it felt like the Wild West. It didn't feel like there was anything to do with like algorithms and who gets what, or, you know, a currency stream. And it really was just like a hang, you know?
So if you were on the cutting edge then of MySpace, what do you see with like TikTok right now? Because I feel like that's kind of maybe 20 years later what that was doing then.
Yeah, it's like there's still an ability to craft something and create something that's wholly original. I mean, I know TikTok's a lot of things. There's a lot of different kinds of content.
You put a lot of content out on TikTok.
I mean, I love it. I don't think I've engaged with anything outside of, maybe for a little while I was doing things like Clubhouse. You know, I love doing podcast stuff, but TikTok was the first one in a long time that, and I know them behind the scenes. And when they approached me, and I was like, this is kind of how I would like to use this as a hub for the next, you know, era of my comedy. They were, it felt like that MySpace of it all, where it was kind of like, what can we do to help you cultivate the audience that you want in here? So I like that group of people's great. And I think that it's incumbent upon the creator to come up with something that of course is going to get eyes on it. But even more importantly is you have to have a long form game plan to where you want to take your audience, where you want to take your career. So I try to tell, you know, young, especially comics, like, don't be in such a rush to feel like you got to get that, you know, 5 million views on so-and-so, because trust me, when you get it, you got to be ready. And if you're not, and that next number slips down to nothing, it's going to feel like you're over, and you're not. It's just the way society imbibes on content. But if you've got like your character, your persona, you know, you've mapped out like where you want to take your audience, you know how to, the we of it, you know how to communicate that, then you have a real chance at utilizing those machines to feed your machine. But if you don't have a machine of your own, that machine will use you, and then you'll be sitting a year later going, man, that was like, why didn't that sustain? And it's because you didn't have a sustaining plan.